Well, good morning and welcome to the HR TailorMade Live series, Conversations with Consultants. I'm your host, Dr. Tiffany Slater, and I'm the CEO and Senior HR Consultant for HR TailorMade. HR TailorMade is the HR solution for small businesses. With these conversations, we hope to make it very clear that you, as a small business owner, don't have to wear all of the hats, and there are so many awesome experts available to assist you with growing your business. And so, my guest today will shed light on all things financial for your business. I am chatting with Jordan Kuhlengel from Hauk, Kruse and Associates. Jordan leads the tax team at Hauk, Kruse and Associates. And let me say this first. Hauk, Kruse and Associates was my very first client to retain HR TailorMade as their HR department. And tomorrow will be our 2-year anniversary. So tomorrow we'll be celebrating HR TailorMade's anniversary along with Hauk, Kruse and Associates. And I didn't even plan it like this for Jordan to be my guest today. It just so happened to be that way. So I'm going to invite Jordan to the stage, and I'm so excited to have Jordan join me up here. And so I'm going to ask him all of the questions that you all want to know, but don't know who to ask. Jordan, welcome.
Hey, Tiff, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us. And the one thing I forgot to tell them, Jordan, is not only are you a client of mine, but I too am a client of Hauk, Kruse and Associates. And I got there because after having been their HR team member, I got to see the back end of how they treated their clients, and I wanted to be a part of their clientele as well. So that's how we're here. So Jordan, thank you for joining us, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I am a tax manager for kind of the business side of Hauk Kruse and Associates. Our firm is separated in two different pieces. So Catherine Kruse and myself run the small business, high net wealth individual side,
Mhm,
where I work on anything from tax preparation for businesses to kind of that part-time CFO services that we're going to get into a little bit today as well.
mhm. Awesome. And that's the other thing. Jordan is my CFO, and I love being able to tell people that I have a CFO. Don't confuse that with me making a whole lot of money. I am doing well, and I want to continue to do well with what I have, and that is why I thought it was necessary to enlist the services of Hauk Kruse to serve as my CFO. And so, Jordan, along those lines, what type of clients do you serve? Does Hauk Kruse serve, and where are they?
Sure. So I'll start off where they are geographically. They're everywhere. We serve people all over the United States. We have some people overseas. So geography is not a limit for us, especially in today's world where you can work online with people. You can have these Zoom meetings. I think the last year and a half has really emphasized that.
Mhm.
In terms of who we specifically work with, we're working with small business clients, and that definition of what is a small business client can be anyone from who's kind of just starting out, branching into running their own consulting firm, starting their own single member firm, to people that are doing $50 million in revenue. So it can really range. And what we're looking for is not necessarily a revenue range that we're specifically trying to find, but really someone that's trying to work with their CPA to grow their business in some fashion. That doesn't mean they have to be looking to expand, but they're looking to maybe expand their knowledge of how their business works. They're looking to maybe actually looking to take on new clients. They're looking to
Mhm.
transition something to where we can get involved.
Yes, I love it. And so, at what point should a small business owner seek the services of an accounting firm?
I think immediately. So if you are doing a side hustle where you're Ubering on the side, something along those lines, you don't necessarily need a CPA firm. It might be helpful to go to the kind of the classic H&R Block, something along those
Mhm.
lines. But if you're kind of stepping out into the world as your own business, I think it's time to enlist a professional. Just because there's a lot of new activities that you're going to have to partake in that you're not necessarily going to be used to or equipped for. And we can help you kind of avoid some of the pitfalls of that and help you along the way.
Gotcha. So, what is the difference between um, a CPA, someone who's like a single shingle, and a firm, an accounting firm. What's the difference? And at what point do I need a team as opposed to a single shingle?
Sure. So I think whenever I think of kind of that single shingle CPA, that's that classic old style accounting firm where you're maybe going to come in, you're going to drop your stuff off, they're going to do your taxes by themselves. They might be able to advise you, they may not, and then you're going to wrap up and you might not see them for another year. I
Mhm.
think working with a team is more effective whenever you have multiple facets of your business that you're wanting to work on. Are you wanting to improve your bookkeeping processes? Are you wanting an expert in transition? Are you wanting an expert in taxes? It's
Mhm.
difficult to be an expert in everything. So, what's nice about our firm is I have people that I can rely on that are great with payroll software. I'm
Yeah.
not, I don't do that. Um, but I can help you manage your taxes. And then Bill Kruse, if you're planning this huge transition for your firm, he's able to step in a way that most people aren't. So just having different types of tools for different needs is really great.
Yeah, and it also sounds like you have different types of expertise on your team that perhaps a single shingle won't be able to have because they're one person. And so, along those lines, it sounds like accountants are much like attorneys in that each professional could have their own level of expertise. Is it fair to say that every CPA or every accountant is good at taxes?
No.
Okay.
A CPA is simply a designation that you have passed the CPA exam. It's an indicator that you're knowledgeable in a field. It's by no means the rule of the defining rule. So I've
Yeah.
worked with people in our firm who are they don't have a CPA designation. They're excellent tax preparers, whereas I've worked with other people out in the field where they have a CPA, but they didn't dedicate their life to doing taxes, so they don't really know anything about it. They're more equipped to handle certain financial situations, so bookkeeping, things like that. So
Mhm.
um, people develop levels of expertise based on where they work. If you work in a private industry, you're more likely to be very specialized than that. If you work in the public sector, you're more likely to have the ability to kind of go across different categories just because the job requires that a lot of the time.
Got it. So the larger organizations, to a degree, um, require that you have a specialization, whereas a smaller firm like Hauk Kruse or some other organization would require you to have multiple areas of expertise.
Yep, I would agree.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. What should an individual or a client expect from an accounting firm by way of services, by way of support? Should I expect you to call me every month and say, Tiffany, stop buying all those post-it notes? What should we expect?
Sure. So I think it depends on what level of service you want to engage that CPA in. If you're kind of just traditional tax and advisory, I want to come in and if you have any ideas, you should expect to hear from your CPA at minimum when you prepare the tax return, hopefully
Mhm.
twice a year, I think is a pretty good rule of thumb.
Okay.
If you don't hear from them at all, if you drop your stuff off and then you walk out without having a conversation, maybe not a great CPA to work with.
Mhm.
Um, we certainly at our firm try to contact the client to talk
Mhm.
about something throughout the year because something in their life is happening that we can typically
Yeah.
help them with.
Yeah. I really love, I think that's what drew me to you all. I would hear you all talk about your clients and the fact that you knew them. There were some, I can't remember, I would never say the client's name, but there was a client that you all were talking about. And like you knew like their wife's name and their kids' names and, all of the things that were happening in their lives with their, family. I thought that was really cool. And what would you say is the benefit of you all having that intimate relationship with your clients?
Sure. So I think if you want to advise someone on a deeper level, you have to at least have a baseline knowledge of what that person's life is.
Mhm.
Or if you don't have that, even, you at least have to have the ability to get to that place. So they have to be comfortable enough to tell you those things. So if you don't have that, it's somewhat difficult to just look at a column of numbers and advise someone. You have to know what their goals are as an individual. You have to know kind of what their personality type
Mhm.
is so that you can effectively suggest services to help them.
Yeah, that's good. And as I think about it, I think that that is a lot of what happens from the HR perspective too. when I'm talking to my clients, if they just answer the questions that I ask them, that is not as effective as me listening intuitively to what they're saying and being able to pick up on some things that I need to dive a little deeper into to understand so that I can better support them. So I can definitely appreciate that answer. And so, Jordan, let's talk a little bit about personal finance because
Sure.
one of the things you said to me on our call the other day was it's really helpful to know more about where we're wanting to head personally, so that when I say we, my family, it's helpful for you all to understand that so that you can better guide us from the business perspective. So,
Right.
what are three ways that an entrepreneur or small business owner can cut our tax bill?
Oh, man, that's a great question. So I would say you need to look at your business structure first. So there's certain types of structures where it's more beneficial depending on your income level. So I think you just need to have someone look at that. Typically, there's indicators that a CPA who's paying attention will advise the client once they see it, they should start looking into changing maybe over to an S corporation, things like that.
Got it.
I think another way that people can save money is by reviewing the types of retirement plans that they have in place. So there's all sorts of different retirement plans that are available to self-employed individuals that aren't available to me, an employee of a company. You know,
Mhm.
a typical employee who's going to participate in a 401k plan. An entrepreneur has the ability to do a SEP, a solo 401k, an IRA, Roth options within those. So really, in order to understand what's best for them, you need to understand what their goals are. You know, are they
Yeah.
purely looking for current year tax savings, or are they looking at larger tax bills whenever they come close to retirement? So they really want to have more money in a Roth. You know, there's
Mhm.
just all sorts of different factors that really come into play.
Okay. All right. And one more.
I need to give you one more. I think you need to keep adequate records. So it's self-employed individuals, new businesses, small businesses are very busy. Your main job is to run your business, right? It's to generate revenue. On the back end of a lot of that, in my opinion, for other people in their minds, is keeping good accounting records. Your
Yeah.
records will fall where they may. I think in those situations, it's very easy to miss expenses that you're absolutely entitled to,
Mhm.
just because you're maybe not paying attention to it, which no one can blame you for not paying attention to it. You have a business to run. So
Yeah.
just either making sure you have adequate records or paying someone to keep adequate records for you.
Okay. Thank you. So, one, you said, I forgot what the first one was already, Jordan, but I remember the full or the retirement. I remember also, oh, it's the type of understanding the type of organization or how
Yep.
you set up your organization. And then making sure that you keep great tax records, and then making sure that you look into your retirement options because that cuts your tax liability.
Yep.
It could, depending on which one you select. Did I get it right? Okay. Okay, good. Thank you for that. So here's another question, Jordan. When it comes to personal finances, how closely are your personal finances related to your business finances in your experience?
That is the classic. It depends. Some
Yeah,
people, run real estate businesses where maybe the person who's running that is making a good amount of money, but the person, their spouse, is maybe making way more money to where it's insignificant in terms of their total finances. But if you looked at it from the outside and you just knew that one person's income from their business, it may be so. Typically, if a small business owner is earning the equivalent of what the spouse is earning, it's a significant portion. So your businesses are tied very closely to your finances.
got it.
Um, and yeah, I think planning for retirement, planning for what you're wanting to do with your life the next 5, 10 years, buy a new house, whatever, pay off debt, you need to be able to pay attention. Is the income that this business is producing currently able to finance that? If not, what steps do I need to take? Do I need to change the business, or do I need to change my expectations?
Yeah, yeah. And then I had a call yesterday with the coach, and she talked a little bit about how to determine what you charge as an entrepreneur. And so I'm taking a little bit of a turn, but one of the things that she told me in terms of how to think about it is thinking about how much we want to bring home to reach the goals that we want to reach. Do you all help entrepreneurs determine that amount of how much they should charge? Or is that something that we would have to do on our own?
It's something that we could help walk you through it. I've never done a specific project charge for a specific project for. That would be more of a typical call-in conversation is what I would kind of expect out of that, where someone's saying, kind of bouncing an idea off me. And yes, that makes sense. So basing your pricing off of, what your expectations are for your personal life. I don't see anything wrong with that. I think, I don't know that I would necessarily go down that route. I normally try to advise based on value billing. What's the value of the service that I'm providing, and I'll base off of that. And so long as those two align and they don't conflict, I see no issue with it either way.
Well, and I didn't go all the way into it because she also talked about operating costs and all that stuff. So those are all of the factors that she added in there. So I thought that that was really good. So thank you for that, Jordan. One last question well, actually, I've got a couple questions, but one of the questions that I see people asking a lot is, what type of software should I use to track my expenses? I mean, obviously QuickBooks is like the industry leader, but I know that there are several others. So what are your thoughts?
So if you're wanting to track your expenses, so let's say you just have some out-of-pocket expenses you want to make sure you track. There's programs like Receipt Bank. I'm sure there's other ones out there, but that's typically the one that we recommend to our clients, where you'll just take a picture of receipt, it'll capture it so that you at least know you have it. You can kind of put together a record of your finances with that. If you're wanting to keep full-blown books, which small business owners should do, QuickBooks Online and then also Xero are the two main recommendations. Most of our bookkeeping team, is just who I would rely on for this answer, likes Xero. I personally like QuickBooks Online better. I feel like that was a very nerdy accountant thing to have a preference in terms of an accounting software, but I do.
Yeah, and I personally use QuickBooks, and I know so many people find it to be cumbersome and overwhelming. I don't know why I like it, but I do. It's simple. It feels simple to me. And then when I have questions, I have a team of people that I know that I can call who can help guide me through and answer the questions for me. So, last question for you, Jordan. What is some of the best advice that you might give small business owners and perhaps those individuals who are starting a business?
I think for individuals who are starting a business, don't think of seeking help as an expense. Think of it as an investment in your future.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of people stumble in the first 2, 3, 4 years because they're wanting to do everything themselves. However, you guys are limited on your time. You need to spend your time wisely. I think oftentimes it's more beneficial to bring in outside help, whether that be with HR, whether that be with accounting. I think you're going to save yourself a lot of headache in the end if you just kind of start off on the right track rather than
Yeah.
proceeding down for a couple of years and then trying to fix things.
Jordan, I love that. And you closed us out really well because that is the purpose of this live series is showing all of the small business owners all of the options and all of the different resources available to help us from feeling overwhelmed and doing all of the things that we are not good at. So it's really important that we take a step back, like you said, and just hire the experts, hire the people that can get it done in 30 minutes, something that might take us 2 hours to figure out. If I can pay you for 30 minutes of work, I'd rather do that and keep my 2 hours. So I thank you for that. How can people reach you, Jordan?
You can call into our office. So if you Google Hauk Cruising Associates, or just the direct line for Hauk Cruising is 314-993-4285. And then I believe you have a link for the website in the description here as well. So you can find a contact link through there.
Awesome. Well, Jordan, I will definitely have you back. I maybe in 6 months we'll do this
Great.
again because I think that there's always room to talk about money and finances and taxes. So maybe the next conversation could perhaps be dedicated to taxes. I don't like talking about taxes. I hate talking about taxes. I don't want to know what my tax bill is. I wish my rich uncle would just show up every quarter and just pay my taxes for me, but it's not going to happen. So that's it. Jordan, thank you. I think that you gave some really, really great information. And thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Tiffany.
Thank you. All right, so we had a great conversation with Jordan. I really enjoy talking to the financial guru and sharing that information with you all because it's really important that we get our money right. Because if nobody starts a business to be broke and to sit at home and everything's falling apart around us. So get your money right and get the right people on your team so that they can help you grow your business and help you realize your dream. And so I really appreciate you all for watching. Again, I am Dr. Tiffany Slater of HR TailorMade, the HR solution for small businesses. Be sure to sign up for our newsletter. Tell us what you want to know more about and who you want us to talk about. This show is for you. In the next episode, we will be talking to the Wonder Twins, Dr. Nicola Beach and Crystal Kalal of Sister Diamonds. These ladies are some of the wisest and most inspirational women that I know. So join me for this special treat. And until next time, be kind to yourself. Thanks so much for joining us.